Welcome, ladies, to the weekly live. I'm really excited to be here with you today as I've been banned for the last week, and so I've finally been able to jump back on after posting some super powerful, beautiful content about um, that I would love to be sharing with you all. So let me know if you are watching and also say hi in the comments, also if you're watching the replay. And today I want to be sharing with you the number one essential practice to find your pleasure, to find your bliss, to find your turn on. And once I tell you, you're going to be like, no way, Sarah. Like, that is so simple, right? Like, that's just too simple to actually work. But actually, this is where it all stems from. And I just want to talk about what a practice is before we dive all the way in. So, you may have a practice like a yoga practice, or something that you do in the morning, a morning ritual. And they are really important practices. They're more structured practices that you feed into your day. And what I want to challenge you on is that actually everything that you do in your day is a practice. Okay, everything you do in your day is a practice. You cannot not be in practice of something, okay, because we're always behaving in a certain way. So we have these more structured practices which help fill us up, regulate our nervous system, bring us into bliss, and we have how we operate through everyday life. And I also call these practices, it's your everyday life practice, right? It's the mindset, it's your behavior, it is how you are showing up in the world. And this practice that I'm going to share with you is more along those lines. It's more a practice that starts to feed into your everyday life. It starts to become a part of your philosophy, a part of who you are. And then it starts to stem down and start to filtrate into your belief systems. Okay, and once we start working with belief systems and mindset, this is what's going to lead you to unblocking any blocks you may have around pleasure or receiving or anything that involves being intimate with yourself or being intimate with your partner. And I can absolutely guarantee that for the majority of people, it can always be better. We can always have more pleasure. We can always have more bliss, myself included. I am constantly surprised at the layers of bliss that keep getting unpeeled. And also sometimes when I feel like I'm going backwards and I feel like I'm further away from pleasure or I can't drop into intimacy with myself as much. And this is when this practice really becomes important because it brings us back into the focus, back into the mindset of what is really important. Okay, so without talking too much, I'm going to let you know what it is. Remember, it's super simple and super challenging to implement. Okay, and that is making pleasure a priority. And you're like, is that it? Making pleasure a priority, allowing yourself to be in pleasure. And I want to define what I mean by pleasure. So I am a women's sexuality coach, and so I help women find their pleasure, right? I help women find their sexual turn on, their sexual bliss. And I'm also talking about pleasure in general, period. Okay, I'm talking about how you feel first thing in the morning. I'm talking about how awake and alive are your senses. I'm talking about being in the present moment and appreciating everything that's around you. All right, like I'm wearing this sweater right now just because it's like, one, it's pink, so that's fun. But it's also got like such a nice smooth lining and it's so nice against my skin, and that is pleasurable. Sitting with your morning coffee or your morning tea and taking a moment to really breathe this in and be in the moment of this pleasure. This is pleasure, right? And so we could look at it like non-sexual pleasure and sexual pleasure. But as we continue to do this work, we start to realize that they're one and the same. They start to blend and they start to inform one another. And the reason for this is that sexual energy or sexual pleasure is just life force energy, right? It's feeling alive, it's feeling good, it's feeling sexy, it's feeling like so turned on by life. And this is sexual energy, this is life force energy. So the more pleasure that you bring into your day every day, then the more you're able to access that life force energy, and it starts to prep your body and your mind to go, oh, I'm orientated towards pleasure, right? And then when your body is on board with that, it's like, I don't know if I can use this word without getting censored. It's like what you would do before getting super intimate, right? What you would do to turn yourself on. It's like I think you know what I'm talking about. It's like the juicy getting turned on part beforehand. And so your body starts to get used to that. And that means that when you start to move in the bedroom, you start to be intimate with yourself or your partner, it's like your body's already prepped for it. It's already warmed up. It's already good to go because you took time to experience pleasure throughout your whole day. So it's not siloing pleasure into, oh, I need to go to work and I need to do my stuff and I need to achieve my goals. And then when I get home in this little window of hour, then that's my pleasure spot. No, it's like, how can we weave pleasure in and amongst throughout our whole day, right? So it's like you're almost making love with every moment of the day and starting to notice, like, oh wow, outside looks so beautiful and alive and so vibrant. So it is a super, super simple practice, yet it's very, very hard to implement. And why is this? Well, we have been raised in a patriarchal society where the values are really placed on achieving things, being efficient, getting stuff done, success. I've been just through a whole process myself recently around my own definition of success and what it means. And it's really pulling apart everything that I've been conditioned to believe is successful and rewriting my own metric of success. And you know what my own metric of success has in it? It has pleasure, right? It's getting to the end of the day and going, how did I feel about today rather than what did I achieve today? And there may be parts inside of you right now going, whoa, 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 no way. Like, I need to get this done, this done, this done. And it's like, yes, that's all true. And you can still get that stuff done with more pleasure, with more ease, and enjoying it more. So when you are in pleasure, you enjoy life more, right? And if you get to the end of your life and you go, what has really been important to me? Is it the fact that you got all this stuff done? Or how you did it or how you enjoyed it? Okay. And I even don't even want to put a polarity in there. It's not even to say that one's better than the other. It's an and. So it's like you can achieve these things and do it so it feels really good and really pleasurable and in bliss. So this is the makeup of what holds us back sometimes from fully being in pleasure, being out of the present moment, and what we can start to focus on to bring us back into pleasure. And this is all the same practice that you would do when you're in the bedroom with yourself or with somebody else, right? You would start to focus on what feels good, start to orientate your mind towards pleasure, notice what's blocking you, and you can also then work with the blocks. But the key here is changing your belief system, changing your story around what you allow yourself to receive, right? What is possible for you? What is it that you really, really want, right? And challenge this common narrative that life has to be a struggle, that you have to rush through your day constantly, that there's not a second to pause and breathe, that you're not this or you're not that, or your body doesn't look good enough, or you're not sexy enough, or whatever it is, all these stories, like, no, right? You deserve pleasure. You deserve to give pleasure to yourself. Make it a priority. And when you do, prepare to be blown away with how it starts to change your life. And just for me, just as a little tidbit, 3 years ago, that was me in terms of rushy, 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 no time for pleasure, um, always about getting things done, very in my masculine. And then I made a decision one day to make pleasure a priority, and here I am teaching it. Changed my life, changed the way that I show up, changed the way I relate in my body, changed my health, changed my well being, changed the tension or the relaxation I feel in my body, changed my relationships. So, we're going to continue to keep unpacking what this means because it's a really big topic. It sounds really simple, but as you start to unpack it, more and more starts to unfold. And in the Facebook group Women's Libido Rising, I have a vision for all of us as pleasure queens to be able to show up and practice being in pleasure. Okay, practice being in pleasure. Remember, it's a practice and it doesn't necessarily happen overnight. Okay, it requires practice and repetition to start to embed in ourselves and in our nervous system that it is okay that we put ourselves first. It is okay that we fill our own cup. It is okay that we orientate ourselves toward pleasure rather than achievement and goals. So keep looking out in the email list and Instagram, Facebook group. Mainly I show up in Women's Libido Rising in the Facebook group, and we're going to start to unpack this topic. And the vision for the group is to create a space where women feel safe to post up a pleasure post, and that is where they get to celebrate what they did to be in pleasure. And it's so important to be in community with this because it's so easy to get distracted, right, and get pulled into the common narrative. So this is creating a group of women that can support you to be seen in your pleasure and to know that you're not crazy making it a priority. And of course, it's the place to learn how you can access your sexual bliss and fall in love with your body even more, which every woman deserves, really and truly, and it's definitely accessible. So come join us in the Facebook group to show up and read and be inspired by pleasure posts. I'm going to be doing them this week as long as I don't get banned again, and we're going to have a whole lot of fun. It's going to be so good. So thanks for joining me. Remember to comment, and if you actually have any comments on what you have already done today to be in pleasure, then drop them below, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon to explore more pleasure.